Welcome to the 44th Annual Prince George's County Public Safety Valor Awards. The 2021 ceremony is a virtual production brought to you by the Prince George's County Public Safety Valor Awards Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem performed by Prince George's County Sheriff's Deputy First Class, Kiana Graham.
Oh, say, can you see by the dark's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say that the Star-Spangled Banner wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And for the invocation, Chaplain for the Prince George's County Sheriff's Office, Miss Georgie Solomon.
Could we all bow our heads in a moment of prayer? Dear Father, we thank you and praise you today for this gathering. We thank and praise you for this ceremony, for truly it's a blessing to be given an award for the things that you have accomplished in your community and in your country. We thank you today for your people that gathered together in unity, standing together, united together, strengthening one another. Because truly, when we stand together in strength, we can do that job which our hands have been assigned. I thank and praise you today for your awardees. I thank and praise you for their families. I thank and praise you for each person that's gathered in this place. We did not come here for form or fashion, but we came here to give you glory, first of all, because you gave us the activities of our limbs. You gave us our minds. You gave us our strength. You gave us the ability to be able to do those things that these communities stand in need of. We thank and praise you for that today. We thank and praise you that each and every person will be encouraged, hopefully. We hope, dear Lord God, that they will know that they do not stand alone, that they know that you have angels' protection round about them, that you're keeping them safe every day. And as you keep them safe every day, we know that our communities, our country, our world will be a safer place. Continue to bless your awardees, continue to bless their families, continue to bless their hands, their minds, because it's their minds that's going to keep them going in the right direction. We give you praise for it today. Allow your angels to protect them. Allow your angels to keep us all safe from all hurt, harm, and danger. We're thanking you. And all of us together know that you're with us every day. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Prince George's County Executive, Angela Alsobrooks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 44th Annual Valor Awards, where we gather to recognize outstanding acts of valor among our public safety servants. This year, we have a tremendous group of individuals who have shown character in the face of difficulty. I want to congratulate all of this year's Valor Award recipients for their outstanding public service. Unfortunately, even as we begin to look beyond COVID-19, this year the ceremony is virtual once again to help reduce the spread of this illness. Today, in this virtual format, I want to make sure each of you know how much you are appreciated for your public service. Your work makes our community safer. Unlike this award ceremony, your work must be done in person. This year, all of our Valor Award recipients went above and beyond for residents, often putting themselves in harm's way to protect our community. Even before the pandemic began, each of you made a commitment to public safety. All of you understand the added risks that come along with this important mission. Every day, all of you wake up and take on extra risks to protect others. I want to thank each and every one of you for your public service. You and your families make a tremendous sacrifice to make Prince George's County a safer place to live. We will continue to do all that we can to make sure you have all the resources you need to do the job safely and effectively. Once again, like the year before, we are together in spirit. Hopefully, we'll be able to celebrate next year's luncheon together in person as we work to bring this pandemic to a close once and for all. We are deeply indebted to our public safety personnel. I commend all of you for your hard work and thank each of you for your sacrifice. Congratulations again to this year's winners, and I hope you enjoy the program. May God continue to bless you and your families, and may God continue to bless Prince George's County.
And now, Prince George's County Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety and Homeland Security, Mr. Barry Stanton.
Welcome to the 44th Annual Public Safety Valor Awards. I'm Barry Stanton, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety and Homeland Security. For the past 44 years, Prince George's County has taken the opportunity to recognize the many heroic acts of our public safety professionals. Their heroic acts and sacrifices have not gone unnoticed and unrecognized. Our public safety personnel and dedicated frontline responders risk their lives every day doing their jobs. Their continued acts of bravery are a commitment to the work they do to keep our community safe. During this ceremony, we will share stories of bravery from our men and women from the Prince George's County Police Department, FAR Emergency Medical Services Department, the Department of Corrections, Office of the Sheriff, and the Office of Homeland Security, Emergency Management, and Public Safety Communications. It is with great pride that I take this opportunity to thank the directors and chiefs within our public safety agencies for their leadership, dedication, and commitment in keeping our staff and community safe. I would also like to thank all our sponsors through their commitment and support that made this ceremony a great success.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the leaders of the 5 Prince George's County public safety agencies.
I'm Melvin C. High, Sheriff. As the host agency of the 44th Annual Public Safety Virtual Valor Awards, we thank you so much for joining us. You know, we began planning this virtual ceremony before the COVID-19 limits were lifted, but a lot has changed over the past year. We're all praying that these positive trends continue and that next year we will see you in person for this time-honored tradition, recognizing you and all of the amazing services you perform for Prince George's County.
While we are here to honor your unwavering bravery and commitment to the community, we want to dedicate this year's ceremony to all the Prince Georgians who lost their lives to COVID-19.
As frontline responders, you witnessed the devastation of the pandemic firsthand. Many of you also helped with the unprecedented rollout and delivery of the vaccine.
You all stepped up and saved lives while responding to every call for service. And as you are about to learn, many of you have went above and beyond that call.
Which brings us to the moment of celebration and honor. You bring out the best in all of us. Thank you for your service, and
Congratulations.
We now take you to the WUSA 9 studios in Washington, D.C., and your MCs, WUSA 9 anchors Annie Yu and Allison Seymour.
Hello, it's good to be with you. My name is Annie Yu.
And I'm Allison Seymour, and we are honored to be with you today to present the Prince George's County Public Safety Valor Awards to our dedicated public safety personnel and first responders.
We've all been impacted by the COVID-19 global pandemic, but you all continue to go above and beyond the call of duty to save lives and ensure our community remains safe.
We thank you for your dedication and your service to the residents of Prince George's County. Now to the awards.
Office of the Sheriff, Bronze Medal of Valor, Deputy First Class Kevin D. Stevenson. On July 7, 2020, at approximately 11 a.m., Deputy First Class Kevin Stevenson II responded to Hyattsville, Maryland for the report of a shooting. Deputy First Class Stevenson was working secondary employment about 3 blocks from the shooting. He was flagged down by several witnesses who directed him to the victim, who was laying on the sidewalk suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Immediately assessing the grave nature of these injuries, Deputy First Class Stevenson ran to his cruiser, retrieved his tech kit, and started life-saving measures. Once Prince George's County Fire and EMS services arrived, Deputy First Class Stevenson continued to administer life-saving measures at the directions of emergency services personnel. Deputy First Class Stevenson administered treatment to the victim's gunshot wounds, chest compression, and CPR. Despite all these life-saving measures, the victim succumbed to his injuries and was declared deceased by Prince George's County Fire and EMS personnel on scene. Deputy First Class Stevenson's heroism and actions exemplify the professionalism, service, and dedication to the citizens of Prince George's County. For his rapid actions of initiating and continuing patient care with maximum life-saving efforts, Deputy First Class Stevenson has earned a Bronze Valor Award.
Department of Corrections Bronze Officer of the Year, Corporal Daniel M. Morgan. One of the greatest comeback stories at the Department of Corrections surrounds our Officer of the Year, Corporal Daniel Morgan. Corporal Morgan, who has been with the department for 13 years, is the epitome of commitment and dedication. For years, he worked without complaints while suffering from kidney disease. Corporal Morgan served in a variety of roles during this time, to include the emergency response team, which was one of the most physically demanding jobs in the jail. Many of his day-to-day co-workers didn't even know he was suffering from such a debilitating disease. Last year, doctors determined that a kidney transplant was needed because Corporal Morgan's condition, it was worsening. This led to Corporal Morgan and his older brother, Josh Morgan, a former NFL wide receiver for the Washington football team, undergoing transplant surgery at MedStar Georgetown Transplant Institute. Both the operation and recovery were successful, and Corporal Morgan has now returned to full duty. He is a walking example of determination and grit. He is truly an asset to the Department of Corrections. For these reasons and many more, Corporal Morgan is the department's 2020 Bronze Officer of the Year.
Police Department, Bronze Medal of Valor, Corporal Kevin A. Stevenson, Corporal Glenn C. Smith, Police Officer First Class Francesco D. Marlette, Police Officer First Class Brandon D. Westfall, Police Officer Patrick E. Moss. Around 2 a.m. on March 10, 2020, Corporal Kevin Stevenson, Corporal Glenn Smith, Police Officer First Class Francesco Marlette, Police Officer First Class Brandon Westfall, and Police Officer Patrick Moss all responded to an apartment fire in Oxon Hill. Upon arriving, the officers cleared a path for firefighters and other emergency services personnel. They then ran up to the 5th floor hallway, where they were met with heavy black smoke. The officers pounded on every door to wake up sleeping residents, and the officers evacuated the entire floor while enduring ear-piercing alarms, coughing fits, and eyes irritated by the smoke. They assisted elderly residents, disabled children, and families with small infants, leading, lifting, and carrying them as needed. Officers repeated this process on every floor, not letting the dangerous conditions or the countless flights of stairs deter them. This small group of officers checked more than 100 apartments to clear the entire building and make sure every resident was brought to safety. For their selflessness and heroic actions that put citizen safety before their own, these officers have earned a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Office of Homeland Security, Bronze Medal of Valor, Emergency Dispatcher 2, Julia M. Harris. On October 31, 2020, Emergency Dispatcher 2 Julia M. Harris initially dispatched police officers to a report of approximately 50 disorderly subjects inside a hotel in College Park. Within minutes, she received an additional report of a shooting in that same location. Although there were limited details, she upgraded the incident and made all responding officers aware of the changing situation. Upon arrival, officers encountered a confusing scene with a large crowd and discovered multiple gunshot victims. ED2 Harris worked closely with the officers to ensure that the location of each victim was verified and emergency medical service was provided without delay. The messages and pertinent information from the officers were nonstop and at times challenging to comprehend as she worked diligently to maintain the location of the officers and the victims. ED2 Harris then received additional reports that the suspect had just been sighted in the immediate area. This critical detail was immediately provided to officers on the scene, and she assisted with establishing a perimeter to prevent the suspect's escape. In total, there were 7 gunshot victims requiring medical transport. However, there were no additional injuries to any officer or bystander, in part due to the professionalism and support provided by ED Harris. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director Ronald E. Gill Jr. is pleased to present Emergency Dispatcher 2 Julia M. Harris with the Meritorious Service Bronze Medal.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Bronze Medal of Valor. Captain John L. Wiseman, Fire Technician Kyle D. Welch, Firefighter Medic Cameron R. Brown, Firefighter George T. Rogers. On Friday, September 11, 2020, at approximately 1:30 p.m., the crew of Paramedic Engine 842 was dispatched to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge to provide mutual aid to Alexandria, Virginia's emergency response team for a suicidal subject on the bridge. Using the local lanes of I-495 to access the subject of the call, the crew, consisting of Captain John Wiseman, Fire Technician Kyle Welch, Firefighter Medic Cameron Brown, and Firefighter George Rogers, found the person on the footbridge adjacent to the southbound local lanes, ready to jump. The crew acted quickly and without much time to access their surroundings and jumped the wall of the bridge and gained access to the footpath where the subject was located. The crew quickly grabbed the subject with their bare hands to prevent the subject from jumping off the bridge. They held on to the subject's clothing, which began to rip. While maintaining a grip on the clothing, Captain John Wiseman and the crew were devising a makeshift seat out of rope to assist with holding the subject. Without regards to their own well-being, this crew was at risk for approximately 20 minutes. Other teams arrived at the scene and were preparing to harness the subject in order to lift her safely to the bridge pavement. Upon return to the station, the crew members complained of fatigue and numbness in their arms and hands from securing the patient for so long. Without their quick assertion and skill, this rescue could quite possibly have resulted in a search and recovery mission. For personal risk, judgment, and zeal, Captain John Wiseman, Fire Technician Kyle Welch, Firefighter Medic Cameron Brown, and Firefighter George Rogers are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Bronze Excellence in EMS. Firefighter Emergency Medical Technician Nathan E. Zeck, Firefighter Emergency Medical Technician Daniel S. Breen, Firefighter Medic Daniel L. Stapleton, Firefighter Emergency Medical Technician Jamar C. Blue. In the early morning hours of November 13, 2020, units were dispatched following the report of a woman bleeding heavily in a hallway of an apartment building. Responding units included A826 and PA829, consisting of Firefighter EMT Nathan Zeck and Firefighter EMT Daniel Breen, Firefighter Medic Daniel L. Stapleton, and Firefighter EMT Jamar Blue. Firefighter Zeck and Firefighter Breen arrived on the scene first and immediately began delivering life-saving care to the patient who lost a dangerous amount of blood from multiple stab wounds. Firefighter Stapleton and Firefighter Blue arrived shortly after, with Prince George's County Police following closely behind. Firefighter Stapleton and Firefighter Blue transported the victim to Prince George's County Trauma Center while delivering advanced life support interventions on the way. While in transport and receiving medical assistance, assistance, the victim informed the crew that her children's father stabbed her while the children were present. Upon arrival, her blood pressure shot up to 184/73, an extremely dangerous level. Firefighters Stapleton and Blue provided a detailed report to the trauma team, who assumed care and began treating the patient. The hospital confirmed the patient had been stabbed 29 times and was in critical condition. Due to the seamless teamwork and quality of life-saving care administered by firefighter Zeck, firefighter Breen, firefighter Blue, and firefighter Stapleton, this woman victim survived the attack and recovered in the hospital. There is no doubt that the actions of the crew aboard PA-829 and A-826 saved this woman's life. For judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter EMT Nathan Zeck and firefighter EMT Daniel Breen, firefighter medic Daniel L. Stapleton, and firefighter EMT Jamar Blue are awarded a bronze medal for excellence in EMS.
Department of Corrections Bronze Medal of Valor, Renee D. Morrison. Becoming the face of a division within a government agency is no simple feat. Renee Morrison has become the face of human resources over the course of her 35-year career with the Department of Corrections. Ms. Morrison is always willing to mentor others and also lend a helping hand with her comprehensive knowledge of Prince George's County's human resources. Along with staying updated on the appropriate technologies and tools to keep the Human Resources Division efficient, Ms. Morrison also takes it upon herself to stay updated on new administrative procedures as well as computer and advanced trends. During the onset of COVID-19, she became a member of the risk management team that's responsible for making daily contact with all staff who was placed on emergency sick leave due to reporting COVID-19 symptoms or for those awaiting test results. This contact is made daily to provide support and obtain wellness updates for the COVID-19 tracker and the agency director. Ms. Morrison has been critical in preventing staff contagion throughout the pandemic due to her timely tracking and her contact tracing. When the county implemented telework, Ms. Morrison came to the office daily to keep a human resources presence for the Department of Corrections employees. Also, when the risk management team needed leadership, she stepped up without hesitation to assist in ensuring the Human Resource Division's efficiency. Ms. Morrison has truly played an integral role in making the Prince George's County Department of Corrections safe during the pandemic and making it the illustrious agency it is today. For her actions, she has earned a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Police Department Bronze Medal of Valor, Corporal Donnell F. Thomas, Corporal James E. Carpenter. On December 4th, 2020, the Washington Area Vehicle Enforcement WAVE was conducting surveillance on a stolen Mercedes that had been used in the murder of a special police officer in Capitol Heights. This vehicle had also been used in several armed robberies and carjackings in Maryland and the District of Columbia. Its occupants were known to be armed with a rifle and a pistol. WAVE detectives conducted surveillance on the Mercedes, and when it pulled into an apartment complex, they were staked out. The officers quickly mobilized to block that vehicle. The driver accelerated and attempted to ram his way out. However, the strategic position of the police vehicles effectively stopped him from escaping. The trapped driver tried to open his vehicle's door to flee. Corporals Donnell Thomas and James Carpenter approached the vehicle on foot to stop the driver from escaping. When Corporals Thomas and Carpenter attempted to extract the driver from the vehicle, he punched wildly at both of them and fought his way back into the vehicle, where he retrieved a Glock 45 pistol from the driver's door. As he attempted to raise the weapon, Corporal Carpenter seized his arm and prevented him from raising the gun. Both officers were exposed to extreme danger while wrestling for control of the suspect's weapon. OC spray was deployed. It took effect and the suspect was pulled from the driver's window. Due to the courageous actions of Corporal Thomas and Corporal Carpenter while stripping the gun from the suspect during the extraction, an armed homicide and robbery suspect was safely taken into custody without further danger to the community. For their bravery and unrelenting determination, Corporal Donnell Thomas and Corporal James Carpenter have earned a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Department of Corrections Bronze Medal of Valor Corporal Tevin D. Holland. One of the most common ways individuals try to get contraband into detention centers is through the mail. Corporal Tevin Holland shows his commitment to ensure the facility is secure by searching inmate mail daily. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, inmate visitation was suspended, and as a result, there was a significant increase in mail. Corporal Holland checks every piece of mail like it contains contraband, and his attention to detail continues to prevent drug paraphernalia and other contraband from entering the jail and causing harm to the inmate population. On 3 different occasions in the past year, Corporal Holland found the opioid drug called Suboxone hidden in the mail. Corporal Holland plays an important role in keeping the facility safe for inmates and employees. For his actions, he has earned a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Bronze Excellence in EMS firefighter Christopher A. Stanton. On March 15, 2021, firefighter Christopher A. Stanton of the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department was leaving the University of Maryland Medical Center in Baltimore, Maryland with his family. Before the family reached the door, an individual ran into the hospital screaming for help. A gentleman who was suffering from several gunshot wounds had been dropped off at the entrance. Firefighter Stanton immediately took charge of the scene and began providing emergency treatment to the patient. He located a Stop the Bleed kit on the wall, engaged in conversation with the victim to keep him calm and responsive, and began to provide care to control the patient's bleeding. Firefighter Stanton remained on scene with hospital security staff until the trauma team arrived and assumed patient care. Firefighter Stanton later learned that the victim had survived the surgery and was discharged to his home after a hospital stay. Firefighter Stanton surely saved a life by thinking quickly, being willing to assist, and assuming charge of the incident while waiting for the trauma care experts to arrive. For the highest degree of judgment, zeal, ingenuity, and life-saving EMS skills, firefighter Christopher A. Stanton is being awarded with a Bronze Medal for Excellence in EMS.
Department of Corrections Bronze Medal of Valor Private Ayodeji Ajb, Private Angel Alpizar. Correctional officers swear to uphold the department's missions when they take their oath of office, and one of these missions includes protecting Prince Georgians' safety by keeping offenders who are in the department's custody in a secure and humane environment. Privates Ajb and Alpizar epitomized this on June 13, 2020, when they jumped into action to assist an injured detainee. After being informed by another detainee of an altercation in the housing unit, Private Alpizar ran to the affected cell to find blood and 2 men laying on the floor, one of whom was unconscious and the other who was rolling on the floor bleeding. Private Alpizar immediately began CPR chest compressions on the unconscious man until he became conscious, while Private Ajb did the same on the other individual. While Privates Ajb and Alpizar checked on the bleeding individual, the other individual gained consciousness. Private Alpizar immediately began CPR chest compressions until the emergency response team and medical staff arrived in the housing unit. Thanks to these officers' swift actions, they prevented a potentially deadly situation. For their life-saving measure, they have earned a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Bronze Medal of Valor. Firefighter EMT William J. Price, Firefighter EMT Kyle M. Drugan, Firefighter EMT Onyx A. Johnson, Silver Medal of Valor, Lieutenant Todd M. Sikowski. On the evening of February 9, 2020, the crew from PE 842, consisting of Lieutenant Todd Sikowski, Firefighter EMT William Price, Firefighter EMT Kyle Drugan, and Firefighter EMT Onyx Johnson, responded to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge for reports of someone sitting on the edge of the bridge facing the Potomac River. The crew from PE 842 was near I-495 when the incident was dispatched, placing them closer to the location than emergency services personnel from Northern Virginia. When the crew arrived on the scene, they witnessed the individual in crisis, sitting on the top rail of the bridge, looking down towards a 70-foot fall into the Potomac River. The firefighters worked quickly to secure a rope fixed to an anchor point around Lieutenant Sikowski's waist. Once secure, the crew began to approach the subject on the ledge. Now, at this point, the man had climbed over the railing and was sitting on the outermost edge of the bridge. Firefighter Drugan began to engage the subject subject in dialogue and then learned the man had every intention of harming himself and jumping from the bridge. The open dialogue continued without successful de-escalation. And when the crew of 842 was, as well as the Virginia State Troopers, were able to position themselves within arm's reach of the gentleman, the man began to slide himself off the bridge, lifted his arms, and leaned forward to jump. Lieutenant Sikowski quickly reached through the railing and grabbed that man's waist. Firefighter Price, Firefighter Johnson, and the law enforcement officers present also acted quickly to secure a hold on the subject. These first responders worked as a team, and they were able to hoist that man from over the edge of the bridge and back over the railing to safety. Because of their quick thinking, heroic actions, and teamwork, the crew was able to save the life of an individual in crisis. For personal risk, judgment, and zeal, firefighter EMT William Price, firefighter EMT Kyle Drugan, and firefighter EMT Onyx Johnson are hereby awarded a Bronze Medal of Valor. For great personal risk, judgment, zeal, and ingenuity of Lieutenant Todd Sikowski, he is hereby awarded a Silver Medal of Valor.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Silver Medal of Valor, Lieutenant Donald A. DeGraves, firefighter Robert W. Rippion, firefighter Melissa L. Donay. On the afternoon of July 7, 2020, units were alerted to assist with a water rescue. Upon arrival, the crew of PE-836, consisting of Lieutenant Donald DeGraves, firefighter Robert Rippion, and firefighter Melissa Donay, encountered Swanson Creek. The creek had flooded its banks and washed out a quarter-mile portion of Costco Road, trapping motorists in the process. Multiple crews from Charles County were operating swiftwater teams on the Charles County side of Swanson Creek. The crew from PE-836 immediately acted to assist on-site crews, including the swiftwater team from Marbury Volunteer Fire Department in Charles County. The crew from PE-836 assisted the Marbury Volunteer Fire Department with deploying their Zodiac on the Prince George's County side of the flooding waters. Once underway, the Zodiac experienced mechanical difficulties with the motor. The rushing currents pushed the boat into the Swanson Creek Bridge and caused it to capsize, sending all 3 crew members into the water. Lieutenant DeGraves promptly alerted command and that the Zodiac had capsized and the crew was in the rushing waters. Firefighter Rippion and firefighter Donay located 2 crew members from the boat, including the operator, and pulled them from the flooding creek. The 3rd crew member had been submerged underwater and swept downstream. He was not immediately visible, but the rescue crew heard his calls for help and spotted him holding onto a tree about 30 feet downstream. Using a lifeline, firefighter Rippion and firefighter Donay were able to secure the crew member and pull him safely from the creek onto the bridge. Without the quick action and teamwork of the PE-836 members, the outcome could have been much worse for the capsized Marbury Volunteer Fire Department crew. And for great personal risk, judgment, and zeal, Lieutenant Donald DeGraves, firefighter Robert Rippion, firefighter Melissa Donay are being awarded a Silver Medal of Valor.
Fire Emergency Medical Services Department Gold Medal of Valor, firefighter Michael P. Parker. On July 15th, a call was dispatched to Station 847 for an emergency incident. When the crew arrived on the scene, firefighter Michael Parker dismounted the apparatus first with all EMS supplies in hand. He promptly entered the backyard of the residence, where he was met with a cloudy, 8-foot deep pool with no visibility in the water. 2 Prince George's County police officers were in the deep end of the pool searching for the patient. The family surrounded the scene, informing firefighter Parker that it had been a, quote, long time since the man jumped into the pool, and the police officers were not able to locate him. Without regard to his own safety, firefighter Parker quickly dove into the pool in uniform and began to search the bottom. He located the victim within seconds, but knew that he needed to catch his breath to complete the rescue. On his second dive, firefighter Parker brought the victim to the surface of the pool and swam with the victim to the side. Other personnel on scene removed the victim from the pool and immediately noticed the victim was not breathing and had no pulse. CPR was started immediately, and the victim was loaded and transported to Fort Washington Hospital, where he regained a pulse. Due to the quick actions and unusual risk displayed by firefighter Parker, the victim was able to get the medical care he needed. For extreme personal risk and the highest degree of judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter Michael Parker is being awarded with the Gold Medal of Valor.
Office of Homeland Security Police Department, Office of Homeland Security Bronze Medal of Valor, Emergency Dispatcher 2 Jennifer L. Wright.
Office of Homeland Security Silver Medal of Valor, Emergency Call Taker 2 Diamond D. Edmonds.
Police Department Silver Medal Valor, Police Officer First Class Brendan V. Stokes.
Police Department Gold Medal Valor, Sergeant Harris A. Johnson, Corporal Robert I. Boyce. Police Officer First Class Tyrone D. Thomas. Police Officer First Class Matthew W. Scott. Police Officer First Class Brandon D. Westfall.
On August 23, 2020, Emergency Call Taker 2 Diamond Edmonds received a 911 call from a female caller reporting someone was breaking into her home. After quickly obtaining the address and attempting to get further details, Emergency Call Taker Edmonds realized the female caller put down the phone and could hear a commotion in the room as the female caller was frantically pleading with a male who was yelling at her. Emergency Call Taker Edmonds said nothing so that the suspects would not know the female was connected to 911, but continued to submit important details of what was occurring so that responding officers would be aware of the life-threatening situation unfolding inside the house.
Meanwhile, Emergency Dispatcher 2 Jennifer L. Wright had dispatched several officers to the home invasion in progress. Sergeant Harris Johnson, Corporal Robert Boyce, Police Officer First Class Matthew Scott, Police Officer First Class Brandon Westfall, and Police Officer First Class Tyrone Thomas, all assigned to District 3, Squad 13, were the first to respond.
Upon arrival, Police Officer First Class Westfall stopped his cruiser and saw two suspects walking away from the residence in question toward a parked SUV. Officer Westfall gave orders to the suspects to stop and show their hands, but suspects kept walking and ignored him. Suddenly, one of the suspects came from the front of the SUV and opened fire on Officer Westfall with a pistol-style AK-47. Officer Westfall was struck in the leg, chest, and arm, but was able to pull himself to cover and return fire.
Upon hearing shots fired, ED2 Wright announced a Signal 13 to get help on the way. In the hectic minutes that followed, ED2 Wright first obtained the exact location and extent of injuries, then ensured that emergency medical services were alerted and en route. The rest of the squad members arrived on scene and advanced on foot to Officer Westfall's position to return fire, provide cover, and begin rendering medical aid. As the shooting continued, the suspects got into the SUV and began to flee the scene. However, they were heading towards a dead end. Realizing that there was no way out, the suspects quickly made a U-turn, pointing the SUV back in the direction of the officers.
As the SUV began accelerating toward them, firing a barrage of gunshots through the front windshield, the officers took cover and returned fire. During this exchange, Sergeant Harris Johnson and Police Officer First Class Matthew Scott both suffered gunshot wounds. As the SUV attempted to leave the scene, the driver lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a tree. As this incident continued to unfold, Emergency Dispatcher Wright maintained a record of the events as they occurred and knew the location and status of each officer involved.
Knowing that the suspects were still armed, Police Officer First Class Brendan Stokes advanced on the vehicle. These officers worked with other law enforcement personnel to safely apprehend both suspects and recover both weapons. After the suspects were taken into custody, officers Boyce, Scott, and Stokes shifted their focus to the injured squad mates, rendering life-saving aid to Sergeant Johnson and Police Officer First Class Westfall until the arrival of emergency service personnel. Meanwhile, Emergency Dispatcher Wright checked back to make sure that the EMS units had located and were treating the injured officers.
Emergency Dispatcher Wright assisted with the coordinated response of dozens of additional officers and command staff, requiring her to review the pertinent information from an additional 6 related calls for service to ensure that she had received and passed on every detail that was available to the officers, command staff, supervisors, and adjacent sectors. Throughout this incident, Emergency Dispatcher Wright anticipated, reacted to, and provided whatever was necessary. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director Ronald E. Gill Jr. is pleased to present Emergency Dispatcher 2 Jennifer L. Wright with the Meritorious Service Bronze Award.
Because of emergency call taker Edmonds' determination to prevent significant harm to a resident while obtaining important evidentiary information, the occupants of the house survived the ordeal without injury, and documentation existed to support criminal charges. Therefore, Office of Homeland Security Director Ronald E. Gill Jr. is pleased to present Emergency Call Taker 2 Diamond D. Edmonds with the Meritorious Service Silver Medal.
And for his willingness to place himself in the line of fire to offer medical assistance to his squad mates and his role in the apprehension of armed suspects, Police Chief Malik Aziz is honored to present Police Officer First Class Brendan Stokes with a Silver Medal of Valor.
For their bravery during a deadly confrontation with open gunfire and the unrelenting determination to carry out their mission despite injuries, Police Chief Malik Aziz is honored to present Sergeant Harris Johnson, Corporal Robert Boyce, Police Officer First Class Tyrone Thomas, Police Officer First Class Matthew Scott, and Police Officer First Class Brandon Westfall with a Gold Medal of Valor. In addition, these officers are being recognized as 2020 Police Officer of the Year.
Congratulations to each of this year's honorees. Once again, we thank you for all the work that you do for our community.
We want to thank Prince George's County for inviting us to participate in this year's award ceremony. It has been a pleasure serving you. Continue to remain safe.
Our community is what makes us Prince George's strong, and we want to send a very special thank you to this year's sponsors. Congratulations to all of our recipients, and thank you for joining us for the 44th Annual Prince George's County Public Safety Valor Awards.